Hello everybody, Frank Mondeose here, and I'm joined here by beautiful Hope, a dear sweetheart that we met in 3 years ago as well. So this leads to the conversation of our relationship to ourselves, sovereignty, and our relationship with the man, the corporate man, the political man. And so I want to hear, so as we get into this intersection and we have all automobiles and human dominance over land, tell me a bit about your beliefs or your understanding of the current model that we're living in regards to our relationship with authority.
Well, first off, saying understand. Never tell a cop that you understand what they are saying, because then you are standing under their authority. You're agreeing to stand under their authority. So what I'm figuring out or learning through studies is that this government is really a corporate system, and we have all been conditioned to give our consent to be a part of this corporate system. And our consent is through our birth certificate, it's through our driver's license, our social security card. It's giving consent to operate in this world under the corporation called the United States of America. The truth, however, is that we are sovereign beings. We are sovereign creatures of this world, and we have God-given unalienable rights that no man can take away from us. There's God, then there's humans, then there's everything else, the governments and the contracts and all that. So we as humanity are being challenged to remember our godliness and our freedom. So when we remember our godliness, we remember that we are the only ones in control of our own reality. So I've been researching and getting more familiar with how did I give consent to this system. And one way that I gave consent was by getting a driver's license. So 3 years ago, my driver's license expired and I didn't get another one. And recently I got pulled over for being on my cell phone, and they gave me a ticket for not having a driver's license. So I went to court and I talked to the judge. I also sent him a letter stating that I do not have a contract with the United States government. Therefore, the laws that he's saying I have to abide by traveling is not valid to me, because I don't have a contract with them. And in saying that, in stating my truth and not having a driver's license, all my charges were dropped, because in the law of the land, which is really based off of common law, the real Constitution of the United States is based off of common law. And common law says, as long as you're not doing any harm, and two other things that are escaping me right now, you are not committing a crime. So I was not causing any harm by not having a driver's license and by being on my cell phone, so therefore they cannot convict me of a crime. And yeah.
So you went to court,
Yes.
no driver's license,
Correct.
Talking on your cell phone, which is an offense on the driver code, and you pled not guilty. You wrote a letter. They called you into court. You had your day in court. That day in court led to you speaking your truth to the judge. The judge listened to your argument, and after listening to your argument, he dropped the charges and let you go free with no prejudice or anything.
Correct. And I want to speak to some terminology, right?
Yeah, let's do that.
So, this idea that one is a driver is, well, it's all, you got to learn the legalities. So there's so many things that have been taught to us. We've been taught that we're drivers, that we're moving in a motor vehicle. And the truth is that we have a right to travel. And a driver is someone who is practicing commerce. So a taxi driver, a truck driver, an Uber driver, those are all drivers. I am a woman moving, traveling in private property that was lawfully and legally purchased. So when confronted by the police, which I didn't have all my legalese down when I was confronted by them, but when you're confronted by police, if they ask, you know, are you a driver? The answer is no, I am a woman and I am traveling in my private property. Yeah, so I'm learning that there's a lot of legalese. There's a lot of finicky word things that we have to get straight in order to reclaim our sovereignty and to disconnect, remove consent from the things that we have already been
So that's
part
the
of.
piece. So as we are conditioned in this culture and as we use their words and their laws and we abide by them, like willingly enter into contract with them, that you are now under their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
For example, the minute you get a driver's license, that is a contract to which you agree that you're giving up your common law rights in order to contract with the state or whatever to follow their rules. And so having a driver's license is what constitutes that. So if you had a driver's license, then you would have been found guilty and you would have had to pay that offense,
fine.
that fine. But because you didn't have a license and you recognized the contractual agreement that drivers, so it's mostly commercial, that's the real reason you would get a license, and because we don't know better, so it's like, oh, I want to drive, so I need to get a license. And like, you know, I have a license, I continue to follow these state-run rules. But the reason I'm having this conversation with Hope is because Hope is like one of the biggest set of balls that I know, and she is willing to go into those battles to claim her sovereignty. So by releasing her driver's license, moving to Hawaii, living off her land and off her product, and just getting into a car and driving and taking her chances, and then getting a ticket and then saying, no, I'm not going to pay this ticket, I'm actually going to take it to court. And she knows her common law rights, and so she argues them in the court of law and she's acquitted. And this is not only the first example. You gave me another example, for if you could remember it, of somebody else that did something else.
So I recently saw a video of a man in Colorado who didn't have a license plate, and he, you know, got pulled over by a cop, and they asked to see his insurance, his ID, blah blah blah, and he said, am I obligated to give you those? You know, he's asking for, what are the laws that I broke that I have to show you this information? They called over their supervisor. Supervisor went back and forth with him, talking about how he's a man and he's not operating a motor vehicle. And in the end, the supervisor wanted to sit down and have coffee with him to better understand his own rights. So I feel really inspired by this. I don't quite have the balls to drive around without a license plate. Maybe because I don't like interacting with them, because it's been so conditioned into us, or into myself, to be afraid of police officers.
Right.
So yeah, driving without a license plate is another step, but I feel like it's a really great step to start informing the armed forces of their rights. And these governmental lockdowns and mandates and ordinances and all that shit, you know, I feel like now is the time for us to recognize our godliness and our sovereignty, so that we can all stand together as sovereign human beings to live on this beautiful planet that we came to live on.
And that's about it. Any last words?
I think the power starts with the individual and in the community. It starts there. Let's turn the triangle upside down.
Let love free. It's the only way we'll ever change anything. Peace. Mwah!